How's it going? It is March 15th, about 6:30 in the morning, because the first fucking take of this did not work well. I have no idea how that happens in photo booth. Maybe it could be the duration of videos, I don't know. So this video may look choppy because I'm going to cut it up, because I did 10 minutes on this novella that I found that was really good. Lost, The Search for Deputy Kiser. I had 10 minutes on this bad boy, including a short read, which I will do today, and it didn't go through. It got corrupted. I don't know how the fuck that happened. So, with that being said, a little bit of background. I know this is probably visible. I'm not flipping off the camera, I promise. I'm a woodworker. I injured myself yesterday. I do woodworking safely. It was like, yeah, sure, real safe. I do woodworking safely, and unfortunately, the very tail end of the wood during a dido cut got caught on the blade and shot out, and the other end of the wood, which is, of course, 90-degree corner like that, managed to catch and rip my finger open. It's $1 million hit because, to have this much surface area next to that much wood in a perfect way, but with all the safety equipment, it was just a slight little nick. So, with that being said, I shall read from the novella, I should say, about 120 pages, Lost, The Search for Deputy Kiser, which I will say, I don't remember where I stumbled upon this. I have no idea. I could not tell you if it was Meta or if it wasn't Substack. I know that. I don't know where it came from. But I will be reaching out to Tina S. Transformation to give her credit for it and a tag on the review, because it's definitely going to be a good one. 5 stars. So, Tina S. Transformation has the moniker, or kind of the nickname, as the Freddy Krueger of short stories. I totally get why. And the part I'm going to read is not going to go into all that, but you can kind of see how it builds a little bit. If you were going to die tomorrow, what would your last meal be? Her voice came from behind me, lazy and grinning, like she already knew the punchline. That's the thing about death, Deputy Mickey Kiser continued, tugging open her locker with a creak. You never know when it's coming, so you might as well eat what you want. Her smirk caught me sideways, crooked and knowing. I love that. Sideways, crooked and knowing. I rolled my eyes, reaching for my duty belt. You're a smartass, I muttered, but my tone was fond. She'd been cracking jokes since the day I met her 6 years ago, when I was a wide-eyed rookie and she'd already been running the night shift for over a year. We'd been paired up in those early days, chasing drunks through ditches and babysitting bar fights. She always had a snarky comeback ready, especially when it came to my juice cleanse and protein shakes. The longest hours we ever logged together weren't on drunks or domestics. They were the nights we sat in silence behind Raymond Keller's fence line. Back then he was already a shadow in the country's cold cases. A man whose property seemed to swallow things whole. Kiser had been after him for trespassing, poaching, maybe worse, but he was too careful, too clean. We watched the dark stretch of his land for hours, coffee going stale, both of us knowing he was in there, watching us back. Every time we drove away empty-handed, and every time it felt like losing something we couldn't see. Gotta balance out your kale with a little sarcasm, she shot back, laughing under her breath. I chuckled, unhooking my holster and setting my radio down. I leaned into the narrow locker space to hang my belt when she stepped beside me, her own gear clattering against metal as she moved into the shelf above mine. That's when it hit me. A scent so sharp and foreign it sliced through the faint tang of old coffee and an industrial cleaner. It was thick, rotten, metallic. Like death. Not the metaphorical kind, the real one. The kind you never forget after your first body call. I froze. My vision blurred for a second. A sudden dizzy pressure building behind my eyes. I had to steady myself with one hand on the locker door. My lungs stuttered, breath catching in my throat like a swallowed smoke. And then, just as fast, it passed. And that is all I'm going to read, because this book, novella I should say, sorry I don't have the hard copy, it does a lot of that. So through like the first 60% of the book, you'd be going along, everything feels normal. It's a typical write, and all of a sudden, boom, it goes really dark, and it was really fantastic. Very solid writing, very engaging, all the above. So I definitely gave that read 5 stars. Stumbled upon it like most of my reads, and I do read stuff that I just don't stumble upon. All of my reviews are like, I stumbled upon this, I stumbled upon that. The reality is I do read quite a bit of stuff, so that one I really, really enjoyed, and I will be tagging Tina S. Transformation on Meta or wherever I found with the review and the read and all that stuff. So now that we've gotten through that 5-star review, shameless self-plug time. So I am looking for ARC readers for my next book in the Haunted New Mexico series. And I feel like maybe I should do just a little explanation on that, because the reception of the last novella for that series, El Guitarrista, the reception was about 50%. And I don't know if I went into this during my last video. I can't remember because I'm becoming an old guy. So we're going to do it again. So the series is based upon the notion of what, or I should say the concept of writing that Stephen King did back in the mid-'80s when he published under his pseudonym, which was Richard Bachman. And the reason he did that was because he wanted to publish more than 2 novels annually, and the publishers didn't want to do it. They said the quality of writing drops too much when you do that. So rather than publish 4 titles under his name, Stephen King, he went ahead and published 2 to 3 under Richard Bachman, and they become affectionately known as the Bachman books. And they were rougher. The quality was not as great. People noticed it, but they loved the stories. And it's funny because I had never read one until, about 2025, 2026, this era. And I completely agreed with that assessment. The writing was not as good, but the stories were really neat. They were very creative. They easily could have been one of his normal novels, one of his normal deals, but Stephen King just chose not to do that. And so I chose to emulate that. So in doing so, did that drive my editor crazy and some of my refined ARC readers kind of nuts? A little bit. It may have. I'm sorry about that, y'all. It wasn't me. It was, it was, sorry about that, y'all. It wasn't me. So anyway, the second book in the Haunted New Mexico series will be published pretty soon. So I am looking for ARC readers. Is it going to follow that same, kind of unrefined, raw, raunchy sort of a deal? Yeah, pretty much. Now, other works that will be published later on this year, are they going to follow that same motif? No. They're going to be, once again, different, my normal voice, all that good stuff. Mainly because that's by design. So, a little background with the Haunted New Mexico series. The motivation, the inspiration, all those elements for Haunted New Mexico, they come from my creative mind when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. Now, that's not to say that you're going to be reading some 8 or 10-year-old writing. No, that means that all the ideas, concepts, were thought up by me when I was alone on a playground as a child. So they're pretty imaginative, pretty inventive. So with that being said, there will be a link somewhere in the story or on the article, wherever you could sign up to be an ARC reader. And hopefully you do, because, hey, get to dive in an ebook file for, for some good kicks and everything. So with that being said, once again, not flipping off the camera, I'm just talking about my boo-boo, and hopefully you guys are good this week. Hopefully you have fun times, good writing, good reading, and all that above, and we will see you next week, because you've been with me for about 10 minutes on this review/read, and I applaud you for doing so. We will see you next time.
There is a legend of a white wolf in the forest, the Lobo. There are some who want to misuse the power. There are some who want to protect it. Only time will tell what happens next.